Hello folks, welcome to Outdoors with Bud. I'm your host, Bud Fields. You know, I've been mentioning a lot of things that I've invested in that's helped me during my hunting and a lot of my outdoor activities. And today I'm going to introduce you to another, what I consider one of the smartest investments I ever made. Folks, this is the Critter Gitter. The Critter Gitter, this is a 2006 Honda Rancher 350 ES. The ES stands for electronic shift. Well, that didn't last very long. A lot of the earlier Honda ATVs had shift issues, and this one developed that same thing. And so what I done, I simply converted it over to a foot shift. And I tell you, this thing is more than paid for itself. Now, I gotta admit ignorance, I had never operated an ATV, but I'm 80 years old now, and people say, what does an 80-year-old man want with an ATV? Well, folks, you just answered the question. I'm 80 years old. I remember back in the 60s, I could carry a deer up the ravine, up out of the ravine, up the ridge, not even think anything about it. But folks, as bad as I hate to admit it, those days are gone. I wanted something that would help me get in and around the woods. I don't actually take this all the way to my tree stand, but I use it an awful lot when I'm putting my trail cameras out, like in the first part of March. Then it'll help me when I want to relocate some of my tree stands. Instead of manually dragging them around, I can disassemble them and put them on here. And I kind of wanted to brag about it. Now, you can buy bigger outfits than this. You can buy them fancier. But at my age, I didn't want to go out and spend $8,000 or $10,000 for something that maybe I'd only get to use for a couple years. Then if something happened to me, my wife was going to have to try to sell it. But I got this at a good price. You've always heard the old saying, they talk about buying a used car off of an old woman that always drove it back and forth to church on Sundays, and that was about it. This lady's husband bought this for her brand new in 2006. When I walked up behind this lady, I thought she was a little girl. I mean, she was very tight, very tiny, she was very petite. And she felt rather uncomfortable on this because she was so short. She had trouble reaching the pedals, and she had trouble, and she said that she liked it because it was a comfortable riding vehicle, but she just didn't feel like she had complete control on it. So they decided to sell it. I bought it. They ended up buying her an ATV for like a kid, and she's happy. She's happy with that because she can handle it good. But this thing here has, the first time I hauled a deer out with it, it paid for itself. And what I like to do, I'm going to just kind of show you that if you were interested in getting you an ATV, there's nothing in the rule book that says you have to spend $10,000 or $12,000 on them. If you want to, that's up to you. I got this, I had about $2,400 in it. And the first deer that I hauled out of the ravine up there, it paid for itself. Now, when I got it, just like when I bought my first bass boat, I told my wife, that's got everything on it I'll ever want. Well, that didn't work. One of the first things I done, I put this gun and bow rack on the front. Now, these are adjustable. You can tilt it up and down, whatever you want, but you can actually stick a muzzle loader, a shotgun, or a rifle in here. You can put a recurve bow in that. You can use it with a compound bow, and you can even put a crossbow across it. Now, you might have to adjust it a little bit better. Another thing that I really liked was this LED light bar on the front. There's been times that I've shot a deer and maybe not even find it till after dark, and by the time we got it out of the ravine and up to the field, you couldn't see very well to dress it out. Well, I put this on the front. I installed that, and when that thing lights up, it's just like it's 12 o'clock noon. It makes it instant daylight. Another great thing that I put on it, on the front, is a 2,500-pound winch, and this is a remote control winch. I can hook this up. I can just push a button on my remote control, and it will let that winch cable come out. And it's a lot better than trying to carry the deer up the ravine. Now, I put a lot of these bungee straps on here because I carry a lot of things. Sometimes I will put something up here on the front Maybe it's a seat cushion or something that I don't want it to blow off as I'm driving. I'll put that under here. Now also on this, I carry this pouch with me. Now inside of this pouch I carry like I've got a 100-foot piece of rope, because there has been times that I've shot a deer and it expired in the bottom of the ravine. And even though I had an 80-foot cable on that winch, it was not long enough to go all the way down. So I always carry this piece of rope with me in case I have to add to it. Well, then I would just simply push that remote control button and that cable would roll up. Now, it's not like on a fishing reel where you've got the level line guide that swings it back and forth. When you push that, you need to guide it with your hand. And I hope sooner or later some of the engineers will come up with something that will make that travel on its own when it's loading back up. But it's been a real good machine for me. But also inside of this, I'll carry I'll have the extra haul lines. A lot of times the haul lines that we use on our tree stands and ladder stands, the weather will affect them. Squirrels might start chewing them up and eating them. And I've always got this bag in case I get back there and I don't have a haul line. I will not climb up and down the ladder getting into the tree or my ladder stand with my weapon on my shoulder, because if you fall, you can fall on your weapon and get seriously hurt. I've also got some wrenches in there in case I get back and maybe a couple of the bolts in my ladder stand or my tree stands come loose. All I got to do is just retighten them back up and I'm ready to go. Now, another thing I always carry with me is I carry a padded seat cushion, because sitting on a tree stand can get uncomfortable in a hurry if you don't have a very good stand. So I've always got that on the back. And another thing, that if you have an ATV, whether you've got a side-by-side or an ATV like this, is of course their battery, got a crank battery back here on the back. I always like to use one of these battery tender juniors. You can buy these at most automobile shops. Now there are different models other than this one, but I've had tremendous luck with these. I've got 3 of them. I got one that I have for my ATV. I've got one for my zero-turn tractor and a lawnmower out there in the shed. But when you get your battery tender, it'll come with 2 different type of pigtails. One will be the alligator clips that you just clip onto your battery, your negative and positive post. And then it'll come in, and the battery tender, the hard wire receptor is right here. You just simply plug this in, and you just walk over to your outlet, which is right here on the side of the house, and you turn it on. Now what that does, your battery can have 100% charge in it, but if you set it very long, it'll start declining. It'll start losing power. What that does, that will build that up to full power, and you don't have to unplug it. You can leave it plugged in, but when it reaches 100% battery power, it shuts itself off. Now as it loses power, it will start itself automatically back up and bring it up to where every time when I'm leaving my driveway, just like right now, it's showing that I've got probably 2/3 power. I've still got a red light. When it's a full power, that'll turn green, and that lets me know that I'm ready to go. Now, another thing, inside of this little storage compartment, I carry my registration and anything else that has to do with this ATV. And that's pretty much watertight there. Then I've got my remote control unit in here, and that's for my winch. Then all I got to do is put that back in there. Replace this, lock it down, and I'm ready to go. Now, another thing, a few years ago, they come out with the idea that you have to have these registered through the state that you live in, which for us is Indiana. Now the registration for these are, it's $30. Cost you $30 for 3 years of registration. And you will get 2 stickers. Just like this says 28, 428. my registration is good till April of 2028. Now, you have to have these displayed in plain sight. Now, this is a little difficult to see now because the cowling is red and this decal or sticker is also red. But it's got black lettering and black outline on it, but you're supposed to have it on the forward half of the ATV, and the best place that I've seen to put them on is over the gas tank cowling there. But you have to get these registered at your department, your license bureau, any place, any county that you live in. But you do have to have these on here, and if you're ever stopped, you got to have your registration with you to show. That's why I've got them in there like that. But the very first year I got this, I thought maybe I probably put a curse on myself and I'd probably never shoot another deer. The evening before the season opened, we went up to northern Indiana. My grandson was playing varsity high school football. They played a big tournament up there. Well, we went up there and it was 1 o'clock in the morning before we got back. It was 1 o'clock Saturday morning. I had my alarm clock set for 4 o'clock Saturday morning to get up because it was opening day of the Indiana firearm season. Of all times for the battery on my alarm clock to die, it happened that day. And here I waited all year to be up there in my tree stand. And I laid on the couch because I didn't want to wake my wife and my dog up when I got up to go hunting. So what happened, I turned over on the couch and I opened my eyes and it was daylight. And I thought, oh my lands, deer season has already started and here I am laying on the couch. My wife heard me stumbling around and probably saying a few words I shouldn't repeat. She asked me, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to head on up and get up in the tree stand. I went up there, there was snow on the ground. I drove the ATV back to within maybe 100 yards of my tree stand. I climbed up in the tree stand. I looked at my watch when I got settled in. It was 12:40, 20 minutes to 1 in the afternoon. And I thought, well, this could be a long, cold day. And I could hear shooting going on all around my area. I heard something behind me and I looked up and a big doe come running out of the ravine right up past me. And I thought about taking her, but I looked behind her and I seen this buck. I thought, well, I'm going to shoot the buck. Lo and behold, 5 minutes later, that buck was laying about 10 foot from the bottom of my stand. I called my grandson and I told him, I said, I filled my tag. And he said, did you shoot it this morning? I said, no. I said, I just got in the tree. I was only in the tree 20 minutes. That was the first time we hauled a deer out and I had him on the back of the luggage rack. As you can see, this has got a luggage rack on the front. And it's also got a luggage rack on the back. Normally, I like to put the deer on the front because if you're going up any kind of a hill, if you got a lot of weight on the back, the front end could come up on you. But like I say, I think in the 3 or 4 years I've owned this, I think I've probably hauled out over 20 deer with it. Yeah, I like to maybe have a little fancier one, but this has done everything and more that I expected it to do. And I'll probably keep it until I'm done hunting. So ATVs are great. If you do get one, now this has the manual steering. On some of the newer models, you can get them with power steering. That is an expensive luxury, but it's worth it. Also, I would recommend if you do get one, you get one with 4-wheel drive. A 2-wheel drive will do you a pretty good job, but a lot of times I've gone out across the field or I've gone down a ravine and on the side angle, and if it hadn't been for the 4-wheel drive, I'd have probably still been up there in the bottom of the ravine. Which is best? I mean, there's so many different companies making them. I can't say, because the only thing I've ever owned was a Honda, but like I say, this is a 2006, and it's got, let me see, it's got 709 actual miles on it, and it's almost 20 years old, and it's treated me very well. I like it real well. Would I recommend the battery powered? Not really, because I think the gas powered is much better. But the Honda, in my opinion, is a lot quieter than a lot of the other ones. So hey, I hope I've showed you some things here and maybe made some suggestions. You can put on them anything that you want, but the basics I would recommend you put on a winch. I went a little overboard with the 2,500 pound winch. I mean, I've never seen a 2,500 pound deer, but there's been times, just like the tree over here behind my truck, there was a storm hit and the top part of the tree busted off and it was laying across the driveway. I told my wife, I said, I don't know if this has got enough muscle to do that or not, but I pulled that tree top completely out of the driveway with this ATV and that winch. But hey, they're a lot of fun. You can pay whatever you want to for them. You can get as much things as you want. And you can get some that's camouflage wrapped, or you can get them black, you can get them red. But this was the color it was when I got it. And the thing about it, like on these new tires I put on it, this has got a very aggressive tread. As far as riding it up and down the street, if you ride it up and down the street, it's going to ride rough with you, because these are designed for off-road in the field and everything. But I would recommend that you get you a booklet that the DNR's got out about ATV and off-road vehicles, and read up on that, all the safety advice that they tell you about, and all the rules and regulations. Some counties, you can drive across the road into a field, like out of the guy's driveway across the field, across the road that way, but you couldn't drive on the road. Some counties you can drive on the roads. Here just within the last year, they made it to where you could drive up down the streets like here in Galveston, but you had to obey all the speed limits and everything. But tires like this are not so much designed for running on pavement. So hey, if you're getting up there, I like to use the word experienced. You're getting up there in age, rather than give up on your hunting desires. This has kept me in the woods and has helped me out so much. So I want to thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in the woods. Bye-bye.